All right. So, you sent over this article called Beyond the Route, and it's all about how the MTA is using data to kind of like figure out bus speeds in New York City.
Right.
And I gotta say, this is pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, this data set is really quite remarkable.
Yeah.
It gives us a really granular look at how different factors impact something as simple as how fast a bus travels.
Okay, so the article talks about time points.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of those words that's a little jargony.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us? Like, what is a time point and why is it so important to this data?
Sure. So time points are essentially the major stops along a bus route.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be practical to track every single stop a bus makes.
Right.
So by focusing on time points, we get a manageable yet still detailed view of bus travel time.
Okay, so it's about making the data like manageable,
Exactly.
but also useful.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And then there's this other thing,
Yeah.
dynamic time warping, which sounds like something out of like Back to the Future or something.
It does sound very sci-fi.
What is that?
So dynamic time warping is essentially how we match the GPS data from the buses
Okay.
to their specific routes.
Yeah.
So we know where the bus should be going,
Mm-hmm.
and we know from the GPS data kind of where it is.
Right.
But those two things might not always perfectly line up.
Okay.
So dynamic time warping is basically a way of like matching up those two sets of data and making sure that we're accurately calculating the speed of the bus.
So there's no like cheating
Right.
by taking a shortcut or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That is exactly what it's preventing.
Okay, so why is that important for figuring out how fast buses are going?
Because it allows us to see exactly how long a bus spends traveling between those major stops.
Okay.
So it gives us a very accurate picture of the travel time between 2 points.
Gotcha.
Without dynamic time warping, the data would be a lot messier and a lot less reliable.
Okay, so that's like the techie side of it.
Yeah.
But what is the data actually telling us about how fast or slow these buses are moving?
Well, one of the things that the data shows is that buses are surprisingly speedy during off-peak hours,
Okay.
especially overnight.
Really?
Yeah, so if you look at figure 2 in the article, it actually shows this really nicely.
Oh, wow. So like the buses are just like sprinting down empty streets.
Exactly. It's like the city that never sleeps, but the buses are the only ones who know about it.
Okay, but I have a feeling that that's not the whole story.
You would be correct.
What happens when the morning rush hits?
Yeah, so unfortunately, as you might expect, things slow down quite a bit once the morning commute kicks in.
Yeah.
The data shows a really dramatic drop in speed during peak hours when most
Yeah.
people are actually trying to get to work or school.
Right. It's like the bus version of rush hour traffic.
Exactly. More cars on the road,
Yeah.
more buses making stops.
Yeah.
Everyone's speed takes a hit.
And the article mentions 6th Avenue quite a bit
Yeah.
as like a prime example of this.
Right.
Why 6th Avenue? What's so special about that route?
Well, 6th Avenue is really interesting because it experiences some of the most dramatic speed fluctuations throughout the day.
Oh, wow.
It's like a microcosm of all the things that can slow down a bus in New York City.
So 6th Avenue, right through the heart of Manhattan.
Yep.
Talk about traffic.
Yeah.
What's the data telling us there? Like, how much slower are we talking?
So if you look at figure 4 in the article,
Okay.
it shows that during rush hour, buses on 6th Avenue can slow down by as much as like 20% or more,
Wow.
which can be the difference between like a 10-minute ride and a 15-minute ride.
Which, may not seem like a lot, but if you're on a tight schedule,
Right.
that can really...
Yeah, it can throw your whole day off.
Yeah.
And it's not just about like the numbers on a spreadsheet.
Mhm.
It's about, if you're relying on the bus to get to work on time or to get to like a doctor's appointment,
Yeah.
like a 15-minute delay can have a real impact on your life.
So it's not just 6th Avenue.
Right. This is a citywide issue.
Right. So what can we do about it? I mean, should we all just be walking and biking?
I mean, that's certainly one option,
Yeah.
but I think there are other things we can do as well.
Like what?
Well, I mean, one thing is that we can use this data to make the case for things like dedicated bus lanes,
Okay.
during peak hours.
Okay.
We can also use it to optimize traffic light timing, to prioritize buses.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of different things we can do.
So it's about getting a little creative and thinking outside the box.
Exactly.
But it's not just the MTA who could benefit from this, right? It's like city planners,
Yeah.
policymakers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This data is valuable for anyone who's thinking about how to improve transportation in New York City.
So we're talking like urban designers,
Yeah.
even like tech companies that are building transportation apps.
Right? Imagine if your like Google Maps or your Apple Maps
Mhm.
could factor in real-time bus speed data
Oh, wow.
and give you the fastest route,
Yeah.
even if it meant like taking a slightly longer walking detour to a different stop.
Okay, so that's getting really advanced.
Yeah.
But what about me, just the average person riding the bus? Can I use this data, or is it more of a behind-the-scenes thing?
Well, I mean, even as an individual rider, this data can be helpful.
Okay.
You know, if you know that speeds on 6th Avenue always plummet around lunchtime,
Yeah.
maybe you decide to grab lunch a little earlier or a little later.
So you're not stuck
Crawling.
scrolling sheet. Or if you have like an important meeting across town,
Mm-hmm.
you can use this data to factor in extra travel time,
Okay.
just in case there are any unexpected delays.
So it's about making informed decisions.
Exactly. And like taking control of your commute.
Exactly.
But why should we as New Yorkers really even care about this? Like, it's bus speeds, you know?
I mean, on the surface, it might not seem like the most exciting topic in the world.
Yeah.
But the reality is this is about so much more than just buses.
Okay.
This is about the lifeblood of the city. We're talking millions of people every day relying on public transportation to get to work, to get to school, to get to, doctor's appointments, whatever it is. And making those buses run even a little bit faster
Yeah.
can have a huge impact on people's lives.
So it's about more than just getting from point A to point B.
Exactly.
It's about making the city work
Yeah.
for everybody.
This is about the bigger picture of how we can use data to improve the way our cities function.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point because we can get so caught up in the the nitty gritty of the data.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this data actually telling us?
Exactly.
And how can we use it
Right.
to make things better?
Exactly. And I think this data really highlights
Yeah.
how even something as simple as bus speeds
Right.
can be a really powerful tool
Mm-hmm.
for positive change.
So it's not just about shaving a few minutes off your commute. It's
Right.
about a more efficient,
Yeah.
a more equitable,
Absolutely.
and ultimately a more livable city.
I think that's a great way to put it.
So I have to ask you,
Yeah.
if you were in charge of the MTA
Yep.
and you had all this data at your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
what's the first thing you would do to try to speed up these buses?
That's a great question. I think I would probably start by focusing on those bottlenecks that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Particularly on those major corridors like 6th Avenue.
Mm.
Maybe trying out some pilot programs with dedicated bus lanes during peak hours,
Okay.
or working with like delivery companies to maybe stagger their deliveries
Mm-hmm.
so that they're not all trying to load and unload in the same place
Interesting.
at the same time.
Okay.
Just small changes like that
Yeah.
could potentially make a really big difference.
Well, I love that. And that is why this has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It's been a pleasure joining you.
Because it's, like you said, it's not just about the bus speeds.
Right.
It's about the bigger picture. It's
Right.
about thinking creatively
Mm-hmm.
and using data to make things better for everyone. So for everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of New York City bus speeds.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And until next time, stay curious.